this whole past period, and I'd like you to compare the years towards the festive season, a time like this last year 2021 and 2020 vis-a-vis 2023 around this time. Are there any significant changes between the times, or is it all the same?
Thank you so much, Carol. I want to remind our viewers that crime is dynamic. It keeps changing. Last year, a thief of last year will of course come up with new tricks this year to ensure that he also scores. When you try comparing the crime trend of last year and this year 2023, especially when we are approaching the festive season, crime tends to rise. And you very well know, worldwide we were affected by COVID-19. And these were push factors that made most of the youths leave villages. They come to town to look for survival. Yet our economy was hit by the COVID pandemic. Most of the businesses are down. So what our youths are doing, they resort to petty crime. For example, phone snatching. We have motorcycle gangs that are always on the look. They target especially people who are, we have, for example, ATM machines around petrol stations, in public places. Sometimes we get cases of motorcycle gangs waylaying people on the way, or tracking people with huge sums of money. After withdrawing money from the ATM, they follow them, hit them, and we also register cases of motorcycle people traveling on motorcycle, especially ladies' handbags, people who are doing phone conversations on the street. We also tend to register cases of electronic fraud. Actually, yesterday morning I received a call from someone. I didn't give him time, simply because I know those are tricks of con men. If I had given him time, maybe he would later ask for money. So many of our officers have been conned, and not only police officers. The employment sector, and many of them are arraigned in courts of law. So we want to ensure by the time we get to the festive season, at least our Ugandans are safe.
All right, very beautiful, insightful information. Talking about tricks of, these tricksters and conmen, do you think that these tricksters are outsmarting the police when it comes to, thinking on time? It seems like their tricks are improving every other day, and we are seeing the impact also increasing in our society. And my question would be, is the police up to speed with these conmen and tricksters tricks, or are you being outsmarted? And should we be worried, like, as the public, or is the situation under control?
And remind Carol and the viewers of Family TV that Uganda Police is always on top of the game. We liaise with the sister agencies to always ensure that Ugandans enjoy the festive season. I want to remind you that these people cannot outsmart us. When it comes to IT, when you challenge us in gathering evidence, for example, when you are presenting witnesses in courts of law, we shall challenge you scientifically, because we have a forensic directorate. All professionals, when it comes to handling crime, therefore I want to remind Ugandans that Uganda police is on top of the game.
About traffic in particular, we have the festive season coming in, around 10 days to Christmas are hiking their prices, the taxis to the villages are hiking their prices, but also we are seeing that overspeeding is not reducing. It is that police reports indicate every single week on Monday morning as they give their press briefing, and it is worrying because as we get to the festive season it is only increasing. What can you tell for becoming victims? Actually,
doing a press briefing at the start of this week, we had our liaison officer, Directorate of Traffic, that is the Superintendent of Police, Kananura Michael.
Yes.
Giving us what you will find we lose around 12 people on daily basis due to traffic accidents. Motorcycles have been impounded. When it comes to errant drivers, and I want to thank Ugandans for being so smart. I think 2 weeks driver was filmed texting while driving, because when you look at a bus it accommodates over 65 people. This gentleman was filmed WhatsApping, as we believe that's when people get excited, especially on Friday, Saturday. People usually celebrate weekends by drinking. Our operations are ongoing in all, actually countrywide, to ensure that we reduce, we reduce accidents, because most of the accidents are rated to drink driving. So I want to remind Ugandans that Ugandans enjoy the festive season with reduced, at least, fatalities on road. Yes.
Very interesting. And the next question would then be, out there, if a driver committed an offense, what would be the punishments, and how should, for example, I want you to tell us, make Ugandans feel like they shouldn't have to offend when it comes to traffic, because the consequences will be serious. What are those consequences that can enable the drivers to be scared of going beyond the police directives so that they be safe?
One, I want to remind all drivers that if you're planning to bring any vehicle on road, you should first of all have the necessary requirements. For example, the driving permit, insurance, that is third party, and of course other requirements should be up to standard. Then when it comes to police handling errant drivers, this time round we have tough regulations when it comes to inconsiderate use of roads. We've had even cases of riders, border riders. I don't know what, do you know what, Carol, do you know what we call one way?
One way? Yeah. A road where traffic is supposed to go one direction and not the other. And
you find a motorcycle rider, or even motorists, creating another route. For example, Jinja Road to Kampala, you find is driving or riding the route that is supposed to bring them from Jinja Road to, Jinja Road to Kampala. For me, is driving from Kampala to Jinja Road. We've arrested several of those drivers. That's why you've seen a traffic military police on road to ensure that at least military also deals with their personnel. And this time round, the penalties are a bit serious. We may even decide to penalize you by paying the EPS, that is the express penalty scheme. And the penalties range from 100 to 500,000. And we may choose to penalize you by paying EPS and at the same time taking you to court. For example, when you cause a fatal accident and the evidence against you is that maybe you were driving under the influence of alcohol, or it was reckless driving that made you cause a fatal accident, they may imprison you for a period of not less than 10 years.
Wow.
So I want to remind whoever is driving on road, you either drive recklessly and go for 10 years, or always be careful when you're on road. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, talking about traffic still, are there any police operations to be expected? For example, the way we had Fika Salama and Fika Salama Extra, where police officers were actually doing operations day in, day out. And of course, we had seen that those weeks, crime on the road had reduced. Are there any plans by police to sustain the same or a similar campaign so that to protect the lives of Ugandans? Because what's happening is that hospitals are flooding with people that have been on accidents, reckless drivers, reckless pedestrians who walk while WhatsApping. Is there some plan by police to come up with such an initiative like Fika Salama or something that is that resembles that kind?
Carol, it is not like we have plans. We've always been on road. Only that, of course, during festive season when accidents are on the rise, we intensify on our operations. And I want to remind you that boots are on ground and the men are doing their work. I had earlier on told you that as I came in here, I got a team of police officers who are impounding motorcycles plus vehicles of people who do not have requirements of being on road. Okay.
Wow. The answers are very brief, but okay, let's move forward. And I want us to talk about the terror alerts and attacks. Recently, we've seen some, threats, and we've seen police, reviving bombs before they go off. We've seen police being tipped off by some, some anonymous tips saying, there's something fishy here. And when police reaches on ground, they find out it's actually an explosive and they eliminate it before it, does any damage, which is a plus to the Uganda police force. Now, my question would be, how should people protect themselves, especially during the festive season, against such terror threats, but also any attacks of that kind? We're seeing people moving into shopping malls with very heavy bags, but the shopping mall attendants or security guards don't care to check really and find out what is in the bag, what are they carrying. And you might find that terrorists might use this particular loophole to cause damage to or inflict pain on some of the Ugandans. Anything to say about that?
Thank you, Carol. You said my answers are very brief. I request, of course, where maybe you're not satisfied, you request me to elaborate more.
Okay.
I want to thank you for at least commending Uganda Police for the good work we are doing in fighting terrorism. A few months back, you remember our brothers from National Unity Platform were doing a countrywide tour. Then we received information from UK and USA about the impending terror threats.
Okay.
And when Uganda Police came out we were criticized countrywide. Others started accusing Uganda police of being partisan. You wait for the principal to start moving, that's when you talk about the terror threats. So this time round, even after halting the countrywide tour, the threats are still on. And I think you recall last week we had a bomb that exploded in Nansana. There was another one abandoned in Chitezi. There was also a case in Kabalagala.
Okay.
And I want to thank at least our counter-terrorism team that responded in time. And we didn't lose. We didn't lose a life. So for us as Uganda Police, we are always on standby to ensure that at least we fight terrorism. One, we've been moving around. For us as community liaison officers, we've conducted several sensitization campaigns. We hold meetings in different villages and communities. We've also been moving to different public places. For example, you'll see us move to taxi parks, entertainment places, and shopping malls, checking on the alertness of course, most of the shopping malls and public places are guarded by private security. And private security organizations are under direct supervision of Uganda Police. We've always ensured that we give these officers security tips when it comes to fighting terrorism. We're also disseminating information. For example, we have placards. We're also giving our both personal and official phone numbers to people, that when you see any suspicious character or when there is any emergency about terrorism, to always call us, and our counter-terrorism team is always ready to combat such crime.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Moving on to criminal gangs, we recently, or in the past years, have seen police trying to, curb down these criminal gangs. Police going to Mukono, areas of Chiunya in Makere, areas of Chireka, all those places, going ahead to arrest these criminals and putting an end to these criminal gangs. But then we have another issue, the issue of the youths being unemployed, and this forces them now to start, engaging, like you said, in petty theft, stealing phones, stealing people's bags and stuff like that. How can we solve the challenge of idle youth? What can maybe stakeholders like government and other stakeholders do to make sure that these youth get occupied so that they do not think about engaging in crime?
One, it is not only Uganda where there is unemployment. I think worldwide we get cases of unemployment. But even our youths, even the available employment, most of our Ugandan youths do not want to work. I've referred several of my friends to different companies, and I end up getting disappointed. When someone is employed, they will either come late, or they want to start with big monies. A university graduate expects salary beyond 600,000. They will even smartly tell you, if you're not giving me above 600,000, I will not I don't want to work. When you go to the villages, most of the youths have abandoned the villages. They have come to town, where of course there is limited employment, and the little chances they get, they are misusing them. So I want to implore all Ugandans to be always creative. You can also still create your own employment. Government has tried supporting, especially the youths. There are different programs. There is the presidential initiative of scaling the girl child. We have PDM, where people are given money to inject in different projects, but we still get challenges recovering monies. They are giving them money, but they still do not want what? Pay back. So there are different programs, of course, government is putting in place to ensure that at least we curb the problem of unemployment.
Okay. All right, we are still discussing, of course, the security tips and updates ahead of the Christmas and festive seasons. And of course, like we have had it, we all need to be on the watch and on the lookout on, of course, how exactly to protect ourselves, but also our neighbors and the country at large. The Uganda Police Force is doing its best to make sure that we are protected. At least they are doing their part, and we are also implored to do ours. Let's take a very, very short break, and we will return with more questions and answers about security updates and tips. We are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott and Tebe.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives. Family TV, enriching lives. Family TV, enriching lives. This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives. Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
You're still watching Church of Uganda Family TV with me, Caro Tumwine. It is Issues at Hand, where we get to, of course, decipher some of the issues that are making headlines, but also current affairs and the holistic picture of course, the news. Now, of course, we are with the Assistant Superintendent of Police, Ssali Paul, Division Community Liaison Officer, Jinja Road Police Station, and he is taking us through a discussion to do with security updates ahead of the festive season. We have only 10 days to go to Christmas, and of course the excitement is at its peak, but also security should as well be at its peak during these times. Now, of course, we will start with violence. Particularly, I'll start with gun violence. Why is it becoming a problem? And of course, in there is where I would like to the ASP to explain to us as Ugandans how exactly we should handle, for example, crime scenes in case there was tendencies of gun violence. Ugandans might be out there and they don't know what to do in cases like that, and I would like you to shed a light on some of those issues.
Thank you, Carol. When it comes to handling, especially crime scenes of gun violence that are related to gun violence, and to give an example, where we registered a case of murder in Mbuya. Sometimes the population, the Ugandan population, they tend to gather at crime scenes. You want to be the first witness in any case that police is investigating, but when you're called upon to maybe to record your statement, you don't do what? Sometimes they don't respond positively. We've had cases where we end up arresting people who would help us in investigations, especially when it comes to gathering evidence. You find the crime scene is already tampered with. That case of November, we had about 4 people being arraigned in court simply because they tampered with evidence or with the crime scene. So I want to remind Ugandans that when you any crime that is reported at police and there is a crime scene, you should always ensure that at least you report to the area chairman or local leaders before you get to that scene, because the police is meant to cordon. Even us, the uniformed officers, sometimes we don't tamper with that scene. That's why you will see us coming with that yellow tape to cordon off that place, preserve it for our scene of crime officers or the forensic directorate. They come and do the necessary work, gather evidence that can help us in prosecuting the perpetrators of violence. So I want to remind Ugandans to always be careful when there is any crime scene, be it a scene related to gun violence, domestic violence, or any other crime scene. Always, at least if you're not sure of what you're doing, call your local leaders, because we've tried as much as possible to sensitize the public when it comes to handling of crime scenes.
Okay. Thank you. Now, talking about domestic violence, we are in the festive season where, violence is at its peak in homes domestically. That's that's why I want to ask this question. How should families make sure that they work together in order to protect themselves and, or to control the domestic violence that could arise as a result of, being home and being near each other? When you live with someone, some of these things are unavoidable. And my question is, how should families try and stay away from domestic violence?
Carol, 2 weeks back we celebrated International Men's Day. Mm-hmm. And during our interaction with the public, they were asking children between 5 and 10 years. Mm. And when they asked them, people who incite violence at home, most of them were pointing at the other gender. I don't know whether when I talk about the other gender you understand it.
I do.
You do. And during the festive season, of course, that gender knows that people who support them, of course the economy is biting hard. So you're going to start demanding Christmas clothes. That's when you want to surprise your mother that you have a very good muko. So they will put, they are going to start putting us on pressure. I want Christmas clothes. The family wants, you want to send some money in the village. Of course, when we fail, they will bring you to family scrutiny. That's when even the children start criticizing, which kind of man are you? Or which kind of father are you? And that one only has led to domestic violence. Even if it is not physical, sometimes it is going to torture this gentleman psychologically, and in one way or the other it will affect family relations. Only that many of our men suffer silently. They rarely report cases. So I want to remind that gender that at least this time round, try to understand the economy and your partner, so that at least we finish the festive season with minimal cases of domestic violence.
Okay. And any advice towards sexual violence perpetrators? There are people who are looking at the festive season as an opportunity to oppress others. I'm talking about uncles who have little daughters at home who they want to take advantage of. I'm talking about teenage girls who are getting pregnant by the day. And as the community, we are wondering what could be done to mitigate the issue of sexual violence as we wrap up the part of violence in general.
Before I caution the perpetrators of sexual and gender-based violence, and remind them, Ugandans, that we have a department of gender. We have gender desk in CID that handles all cases of sexual and gender-based violence. So for us, we always ready to receive the perpetrators of gender-based violence. And I want to remind the community, there are men who, whenever they see a woman, they look at them as sex objects. And they believe anytime they get, they should do. Take advantage of them. We've actually gone ahead to liaise with other stakeholders. For example, when you go to the villages, we have VHTs. That is the village health team, who are always on the look, and they have reported cases of sexual and gender-based violence. We also have the healthy, rather the medical team at different health centers, who always report cases of sexual and gender-based violence. We also do sensitization. Before this crime happens, we are doing our best to ensure that Ugandans are always equipped with knowledge about sexual and gender-based violence. We've gone ahead to visit different schools to ensure that we fight SGBV.
All right. Thank you so much. And as we wrap up, maybe you can give a festive season package to our viewers out there and tell them what exactly to do and how to do it in order to protect themselves against any kind of harm that could come their way, as you give us your last words.
And remind Ugandans to practice the spirit of neighborhood watch. Always get to know what your neighbor does. If you see any suspicious character, get in touch with the area OC. If the area OC is out of reach, at least call your local leaders who can easily access either police or any security personnel. Then during the festive season, of course, we usually travel up country, either to do shopping or to do any kind of festive related activity. And remind Ugandans not to carry huge sums of money. There's what we call travelers checks, or use mobile money agents. You don't need to move with the huge sums of money. There are so many services that banks are providing that you don't need to move with huge sums of money. You would rather incur costs of withdrawal when you reach your destination than carrying huge sums of money that you'll be attacked by gangs and they take your money. We tend to also get excited drinking. And remind you that our men are on the road to deal with whoever is doing drink driving. And always report any suspicious character. When you see that you're traveling up country and the driver is not sober, report to the nearby police. We shall deal with them. With that, I want to wish Ugandans a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I also thank Family TV for always hosting us. And with this kind of program, Ugandans, of course, will get tips on how to fight crime. And we shall live a crime-free society.
Thank you so much, ASP Ssali Paul, for making time for us. We do hope that next time when you are invited, you'll still make your way here and sensitize and enlighten Ugandans. Thank you so much, our viewers out there, for watching, especially those on social media at Church of Uganda Family TV on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, but also on YouTube where this was streamed live. We will keep the conversation going on our social media platforms, and from myself and the production crew, it is a good morning and have a nice weekend. We are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe.
Family TV, enriching lives.